For the cheapest coins, FIFA points and accounts on FIFA Mobile and FIFA 17, go to ufifa.com, use the code TVM at checkout for a huge discount, link in the description. Go check them out. What is going on, guys? TVM here. Welcome to another week of Marquee matchup predictions. There are a lot of games on now that football is back in full swing. But there's only really I would say 5 main ones that we really need to try and go through and decide which one they would not want to leave out. Without any further ado, let's get into the first of those. Every single week we have an Australian derby, and this one's no different to any other really. Sydney FC against Western Sydney Wanderers. I would prepare for this. I would get one player from both teams just to make sure, and I would make them both Australian, and I would probably then go and buy a team of bronze and silver Australian League players, an Australian nation as well, just to be on the safe side. But honestly, I can't see them putting this one in, as it's a derby like every other weekend. And now moving into Italy, we have Fiorentina against Juve. We recently had Juve, I believe, so I can't imagine they're going to do it again, but just to be prepared, I guess, go and get yourself one from either club. Make sure they're both Italian. You can probably fill your squad up then with silver and maybe 1 or 2 bronze players, and then low-rated gold players. You're probably not going to need anything more than a 76, 77 rated team. Make sure they're Italian as well. I'm going to just go out on a limb and say that they'd be Italian. Now, in the interest of saving time, I've showed you these games like this rather than just showing you by each slate. So we have 2 Italian games at the top there, Torino against Milan and Sassuolo against Cesena. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but let's hope for the best. So I don't think they choose any of these 2 games over the Juve-Fiorentina game, but in the interest of being prepared, I have gone out and bought 1 Torino and 1 Milan, 1 Sassuolo, 1 Cesena player, and obviously I filled my squad then with Italian players ready for the Juve-Fiorentina game as well. So if you want to prepare, what I would do is go and get 1 player from either of the 6 clubs on offer here. Make sure they're all Italian, so you've basically got all the bases covered, and then just go and buy yourself another 5 players to be prepared as well. Sevilla against Madrid is a big game. Would it feature normally? Of course. However, Sevilla have already featured last week, so I don't think they're going to do it 2 weeks in a row. But again, in the interest of being prepared, go and get yourself some Spanish players. Make sure there's 1 from Sevilla and 1 from Madrid. We've got Notts County against Mansfield here. It is a fairly big Nottingham derby, but I don't see this going in ahead of the other games that I have chosen. And finally, I have Lorient against Guingamp. Two of those games, Notts County, Mansfield, and Lorient against Guingamp, I'm not personally going to prepare for, but they are definitely worth a mention if you are one of these people who need to prepare for every eventual outcome. Lately, I don't think there's been a way for you to make money from marquee matchups. There's been far little in the way of requirements, but I think this weekend EA might crank it back up again, and they might turn on the requirements. So I'm going to personally go out and get 2 players from Charlton, 2 players from Millwall, and I'm going to get a mix of English and foreign players from League One, just to make sure that I've got enough for this one, because it's potentially an expensive marquee matchups with some of the teams selected. Moving over to France, we have Marseille against Monaco, somewhat of a coastal derby, should we say. I would probably stock up here on foreign players. I can't imagine that, seeing as how Monaco is technically a principality and not actually French, that they would go with French league players. It sounds a little bit silly, I know, but I would probably go with foreign players here. There's plenty from either club as well. Make sure you've got 1 of each, and then a full 11 of foreign French league players. And now, 1 of 3 that I couldn't leave out. I don't think they're going to go full English with any of these predictions. That's why Marseille and Monaco are in there. And I don't think they're going to go full Championship. That is why Charlton Millwall are in there. Kicking the Championship trio off with Cardiff against Bristol. This will almost certainly feature, seeing as how it's a very interesting marquee matchup to put in there. 1 Welsh side, 1 English side, very close together. You don't really get a derby for Cardiff these days, but seeing as how Swansea are in the league above for the time being. So I would probably go with a few Welsh players, a few English players, and of course 1 from either side. And then moving into the second to last selection, and we're going to move up to Yorkshire for one of two. We have Sheffield Wednesday against Huddersfield. It is somewhat of a derby, but more importantly than that, both sides are playing very, very good football right now and are in the top 6, gunning for the playoffs / automatic promotion. So it's going to be very difficult for EA to leave this one out of the marquee matchups. If I was to prepare for this, which I already have done, I would probably get one from either side, and I would also make sure that I have enough English and silver championship players within my club. Now, EA don't tend to go in for this old rivalry rubbish. They didn't do it with Preston and Arsenal with the both Invincibles. They don't really go for nostalgia. However, if I was in charge of marquee matchups and I had my say, we would definitely be putting Don Revie's Leeds against Brian Clough's Derby County within this matchup. I would prepare by getting one player from either side, and I would make sure that I have English championship players to throw in there as well. And that is going to do it for this week's marquee matchups. Hopefully we've got them correct. I did choose 5 at the end, but I would probably say the Bristol Cardiff, Marseille, Monaco, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield and Charlton Millwall will be the 4 to feature. But I just wanted to throw Leeds Derby in there because honestly, if I was in charge, I would put that in there just for the nostalgia feels, essentially. But be prepared by getting players from every single team that we've mentioned, just in case. They're not going to cost you much if you pounce now. If you leave it, of course, the more people who find out about marquee matchups, the more expensive players will be. If you've enjoyed this video, do me a huge favour, smack the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next time, goodbye.